to this deal real quick. Is we can laugh at the misfortune of our rivals, which is about all we can do right now with the Eagles. But apparently they're obsessed with the Cowboys. You guys see this story?
I don't know.
Reddit did a study of which fan bases mention the Cowboys the most. And it was actually a 105 million posts studied. The Eagles mentioned the Cowboys by far the most, followed by the 49ers, then the Commanders, and the Saints and the Packers. And it's just a further reminder, your rival, they're not in a good headspace. You know, their identity is defined by your existence. So is that a consolation at any point at this time, Wolchuk?
I mean, I've always kind of believed we live rent-free in their heads, but yeah, no, I mean, for what?
They're probably dunking on us because they're actually on top. They're mentioning us.
I just pretend that that's not even real. You know, that they didn't actually win a Super Bowl. This is an alternate reality. This is the same fake universe in which Luka got traded. You know, we're going to pivot somewhere else, and the Cowboys are actually champions. That's what we can dream.
Man, that was a bad week, wasn't it?
It was a rough time.
Yeah,
it was a rough time in DFW sports. It's really a rough time right now a little bit.
Yeah.
A little down in the dumpy, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're going to pick our boots up. We're going to get a win tomorrow night, and the Rangers are going to get a victory over the Blue Jays, and the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl.
It can't get any worse. You went too far there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that.
We have a position group Broadus feels great about. I want to put it under the microscope. We go to Blog and the Boys. David Howman headline says that, the linebacker room has a lot of questions. Okay, Brian, so I'm going to give you each of these questions about these guys, and then I'd love to know, what gives you confidence.
This is David Hellman?
Howman.
Okay.
Howman. You got Hellman Fox, Howman, Blogging the Boys.
Gotcha.
Liufau young, and we don't know if it's a scheme fit. He had a success under Zimmer. How much of a concern is that going into year 2 for Liufau?
I think that Liufau plays with tremendous awareness. I think of his ability. He's one of these, we always talk about these sideline to sideline guys. I think he's got that kind of understanding. I think he knows how to get around blocks or play off blocks. He gets in a little bit of trouble. He's a little bit opposite of Sanborn, who they signed from the Bears, who kind of undercuts blocks and then gets in on plays. Marist can't do that. He's got to be able to play over the top of blocks and get to the outside. But he is very, very capable. When he's involved with plays, he was playing some nickel stuff, and when he was involved with that, you could see that the guy's got some awareness, that he plays with his eyes. So I'm positive about him. I think he's a nice scheme fit for what Matt wants to do with his linebackers and how he plays them. So I'm an arrow up, as they would say.
Where do you see his career going? Is he a starter or a depth guy?
Oh, I think he's going to be a starter one day for you. I do.
Now Overshown's hurt, and it's almost like Sean Lee, where this guy's unbelievable. But you can't count on him for this year. Can you count on him long term? I don't know. With back-to-back injuries like that, him and Diggs, I'm just like, maybe they'll have a good career, but it's not heading in.
I think at some point he is going to play, talking to people over in the organization about that. I think that the things that they can't put a timetable on, like, is that a week 6? Is that a week 8? And people will say, well, damn, Broadus, he tore everything in his knee. He might not play at all. They believe that he will play. They just can't put a specific date on that. I think where he gets away with things is athletic ability. I think it's more athletic ability than I do think it's instinct. As a player.
He's something else. He gets the job done. So does Sanborn, who's slow, but you mentioned his technique for getting underneath the blocks, and that sort of mitigates his 4.76 speed.
Yeah, he plays much quicker, and when you could get away with being maybe a 4.7 linebacker when you understand, like, you're able to read and react really quickly. He sees, when you watched him with the Bears. Again, I do not advise linebackers to undercut blocks, because usually that gets you out of position, and now you've created a huge running lane or where the ball's going to be, and then you're out of position. But he has this ability to kind of dip underneath and then get back and make the play, which I'm like, he's about to get, wait, he just made the tackle. And there's people I was talking to in Chicago that cover the team, and they are super, super surprised that the Bears let him walk. and they think it's because of the new staff.
He was a fan favorite there.
They spent some money at linebacker too, didn't they? Like they wanted to.
I'm saying but I know that the people in Chicago were really surprised for the amount of plays that he made for them for 3 years that they just let him walk. But they're blaming the new regime for the coaching staff for the reason they're letting him walk.
Okay, we're going over questions about Cowboys linebackers. I'd love to have you weigh in. Like, do you see it more as questions or confidence at 877-881-1053? I don't know if Damone Clark makes the team. Murray, coverage, and then point of attack as the primary defender in the run game, he struggled. And then there's Shamar James, the rookie captain from Florida that kind of flashed last week. Looking forward to getting out there and maybe getting a chance to see him.
His one opportunity in front of the media, he had an interception. What he does when you watch him, and Zach, did you get a chance to watch him play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead if you want to talk about what you saw him at Florida. I'll give you an opportunity to do that.
Shamar James was just a guy that I saw downhill player.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy that I didn't really see a ton of natural instincts from him.
That's him.
And he is a little bit stiff at times in coverage, but I did follow up with some people at Florida after the Cowboys drafted him. He was playing banged up and hurt. Mm-hmm. That might have hurt him a little bit, but he was a guy that was really good downhill. Had good blitzer, I thought, when it came to that ability. And it was just one of those things where he would at times kind of be, hey, I'm running in late, jumping on the pile. That annoyed me. Like, that's something that ticks me off when we're watching and studying these guys. But hey, certainly he was a big-time 5-star recruit, chose Florida over Alabama, grew up in Alabama. But that was exciting to hear. I thought he would contribute as a special teams guy year one. I wasn't sure how much he'd get into the mix at linebacker, but Eberflus is a dude who's hit on some of these middle-round gems. When you go back to Anthony Hitchens, his first go-round here, maybe he can develop into a guy like that.
Yeah, this is a guy that didn't show a lot of instinct at Florida, and you were really worried about him playing in coverage, and then here he has an interception on Joe Milton in the practice that we got to watch the other day, which is a good sign right there. But where I thought you needed to play him as a will linebacker, free him up, and don't let him have to think about how he's going to need to play. Just let him go run. This guy is more than capable of running down plays. Zach mentioned the downhill stuff. He's a really good blitzer, too. So you might find something with this guy. We might be getting in these preseason games, and all of a sudden, you see this guy having to make some pressure, and maybe this is the guy. But I thought as a will linebacker, that was going to be his best avenue to potentially making this team.
Looking at the potential for star players, it's overshown getting healthy, and then you have sufficient starters, young guys. I think maybe it's not the weakness that it was last year, but we're a far cry from being really good, aren't we?
I think the thing that with Murray that I've always liked about Murray is how physical he can play. Taking on, we've seen him blitz before. We've seen him he gets one-on-one with running backs. He kind of throws them aside.
He's good in space.
There's some power to his game. And I'm hopeful that if things in the run game, that you got a guy that can flow, can play behind the line of scrimmage, can get to the ball, doesn't get fooled. That's kind of what I'm hoping with him, Sanborn, and Liufau, that those guys all play with some good instinct and are able to fill when they need to fill, and not let what should be 3-4 yard runs turn into 6, 7, 8 yard runs like we saw last year.
All right, next headline here: Jalen Tolbert on the George Pickens trade. He said he loved it. He was at the facility. He's known GP for a while, and that's cool. But I wanted to ask you guys about Tolbert. Quietly, kind of became a decent receiver last year. 49 catches, 610 yards, 7 touchdowns. Can he do that as wide receiver 3? Still, if he could, that would be something. What do you expect from Tolbert here?
I think that he is a wide receiver 3 at best.
But that's his right role now.
Yeah,
now he's
absolutely.
Exactly.
So he did have a streak of touchdowns to end the year. And that, I think, is what kind of, maybe if you have a positive feeling. I was super disappointed after the Pittsburgh game. It was like, now's your time. You arrived. You finally had your big moment. Can you go ahead now and have your breakout type of year? And he kind of disappeared. Mm-hmm. There's too many times for me, Tolbert just disappears. He did get a knack for, I think it was the last 4 games, he caught a touchdown. But I'm not Jalen Tolbert just has never developed into the receiver that I thought he could be.
Yeah, but a sufficient wide receiver 3, Brian?
Oh, I tell you what, though, I've gone from the point of I think this guy could have been a 2 to I feel like there's players that are probably more consistent than him. So no, I'm not going to sit there and hitch my wagon to him.
I think Mingo is who they'd probably like to even surpass him on the depth chart.
I think so too. I think that they gave Tolbert every chance to be this guy.
He had 50 catches and 7 touchdowns. What did Mingo do? He catches one out of every 3 balls that's passed to him.
The thing about it is, it's like there's 2 games where he's really, really, really good, and then there's 4 games where he doesn't. If he was, the 50 catches, like I say, where he could have put himself in position for some other ones that he didn't make. I just, like I say, I've given up trying to make him something he's probably not.
All righty. Good stuff here. It is the Gbag Nation. I mean, you're basically getting wide receiver 2 opportunities, and you produce like a wide receiver 3. So maybe I shouldn't look so positively at his 49 catches, and I trust Brian's.
No, I've wanted this guy to be a 60, 70 catch guy, and there's times where he is very capable of that. I just don't think there's any consistency to his game where it's every week you can rely on him to make plays for you. He'll make plays, but it's week 1, it's week 4, it's week 7, it's week 12. There's nothing to his game where all of a sudden you're just like, wow, okay, well, he's going to make 4 or 5 catches every game, and he just can't do that. I've been waiting for a long time on that. It just hadn't happened.